Now this goes out to all of my beautiful people. I'm Jay Star, you know it's nice to meet ya. 7:45 a.m., catch me on the morning meetup. Hosted by David Shands.
Today we're talking about perception. Building perception online. So the whole month of, what are we in? July. The whole month of July, we're going to be talking about content creation. We're focused on creating content. And when we create content, all we're doing is building a perception online. Now, I looked up, let me look it up. I was looking up like the definition of perception, and it was a very interesting, choice of words in terms of like perception. And it says the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. The state of being or process of becoming aware of something through the senses, a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, a mental impression. Okay? So does everybody agree that we need to create some sort of perception online? Okay, good. Let me ask this. Who's been on for a while? Marlon, what is your perception of Brian? What is fashion? What's your perception?
Always has some type of clothing being dropped. But he started off with socks. Now he's moved to more apparel, and he's continuing to expand his brand through what fashion is through his brand in general. Good. Okay.
Bryn, what is your perception of Marlon?
My perception of Marlon is that Marlon is, first of all, absolutely, it's important to him to be of service. He is constantly, he is genuine in what he wants to share, and he shares his wins, and it's important to him to actually take action on everything he gets from the morning meetup. And he's got a Turo business. And he seems to be, he's making success, to the point that he's becoming an authority in that space.
Mm-hmm. Good. Real J Star, what's your perception of Bryn?
Dope. Very energetic. I knew she had a podcast, so Bryn, I knew. There's a dope MC, dope energy. Okay. And I know she's in the mental health space.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Stan, what's your perception of Jennifer?
Jennifer J. in the PVA playbook. She is somebody who can get your systems together. So the systems guru. Good.
I think it's important. I just want to go through that exercise because hopefully you're thinking to yourself, wow, what would someone say about me? What would someone say their perception of me is? And I'm here to tell you that perception is intentional. Shaping it is intentional. But let's go through this definition real quick, okay? Let's go through this definition real quick. Oh, where'd it go? I had it on my screen. The definition of perception. It says the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. So I think the very first thing we need to decide is, what do we want people to think about us when they think about us? What do we want people out here? Okay. What do we want people to think about us when they think about us? When we start building our brand online, I think this is the very first question we need to ask ourselves. Because if we know what we want people to think about us, because some people's perception of you, when they say it out loud, you're like, dang, I don't really want people to just think I'm that. I don't really want people to just think I'm of service. I want people to look at me as a businessman. I want people to look at me as an expert in my field. And we're being very nice right now, but we need to start asking people, let's do it this way. And nobody's going to be real negative, I suppose. But you got to ask, especially not in a public forum, but you need to ask somebody, what do you think my greatest flaws are? What do you think my greatest flaws are? So I was asking Mark yesterday, because Mark came with me to do the Dame Dash interview, and he works with me. And I said, yo, do you think I'm hard to work with?
Did you say Dame Dash?
Yeah. It'll be out today.
David's famous, y'all.
Quick job. Okay, I'm gonna promote that in a little bit. Don't worry about that. But I was really, because I'm getting into this perception thing, really interested in what someone who works with me perceives about me. And I said, yo, do you think I'm hard to work with? Now, I hate criticism, believe it or not. So that took a lot for me to ask the question of, say something negative about me. Or you could possibly say something negative about me. And then my arrogance kicked in. I was like, he's going to say, of course not. I honestly thought his answer would have been, oh, of course not. Very easygoing. I don't put a lot of pressure on people. I don't yell at anybody. But he said, it's getting better. I said, what? What do you mean? I wasn't ready for that answer. He said, it's getting better because I think I'm really easygoing. Obviously in a business, like there's some things that I like to have done, but I don't say them in a very demanding or driving way. So my perception of me is I'm really easy to work with. I'm very understanding. If something is amiss, I don't lose my cool. I'll start yelling at people. Do I, Jen? Like if something breaks down, I'm typically going to take blame for it and say, all right, well, maybe I need to be a little more clear. But I didn't expect that because my perception of me and Mark's perception of me is different. He says in the beginning it was difficult because I need standard operating procedures. And I was telling him like, yo, you know what? I think I need to cater more towards that because if somebody tells me to do something, I just need to know when it needs to be done and I'll do it. I'll get it done in the way that I get it done. But his perception of being hard to work with is operating that way. Easy to work with says, tell me exactly what I need to do and the steps that I need to do, which is very effective. So that will help me as a leader. But I think you need to ask people, yo, what do you think about me? And you got to start on the negative side. But in terms of this definition, right? Remember the definition? It says that the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. What do people see from you? What are they seeing in their perception? Me included, I need to have a haircut more often. Because people's perceptions. I need to like, sometimes I'm scruffy and I don't care. But because I want to go to another level in business, I think I need to look a little more groomed. I don't need to walk through the airport looking homeless. Now I'm comfortable. Listen, I'm not saying that you have to like always be up and at them, or I'm not saying that. I'm talking about for me. Because of the perception that I want to put out is that like I'm always on my game and I'm polished. I need to start working on that if that's what I want people to think about me. But I don't want people to think I'm so up. That's why I'm not getting like no big chains and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do all that. But I want to look polished because I want people to see. I'm sorry?
Hey, Dave, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
What are you talking about right now is the value of nonverbal communication.
Nonverbal communication.
You got to be a master of that, and that's what you're working towards. I love it.
That's a fact. So in terms of what people see, for one, we got to define what we want people to think about us when they think about us. What they see. What does your presentation, your visual presentation say about you? What does it say about you? Just think through it. Do you want to be more laid back, relaxed? Do you want people to think like this person has it all together? It's important. It's important. Okay, so some of us probably need to get a haircut every now and again. More haircuts. That's me. I'm thinking through it myself. Okay. The ability to see, hear. What do people hear coming out of your mouth? We can shape that too, our conversation. I think reading this book, it helps with your communication. Do you know with every page or every chapter that we read, it expands your vocabulary because it's going to be a word that you're not 100% sure of. And when you start putting it in context, it's going into your subconscious mind, and then you'll start to say words that you don't even 100%. Well, maybe that's just me, because I say stuff I don't really know the meaning of. But because I'm reading more and I'm starting to get it in context, for some reason, it just comes out. The more I read, the more I expand my vocabulary. That's why they said there's definitely a link between your ability to read and your likeliness to be in jail. They said there's a link between it because the more you read, the more you understand. The less you read, the less you understand. And the more information that comes in, the more you can communicate how you feel. But if you can't find the words to communicate how you feel, you'll probably act it out. And those who act out their feelings typically end up in a box about 10 by 10. A 10 by 10 space, because they got to act out their feelings because they can't find the words to say it. That's why I'm so excited about this reading. Sometimes I read and don't even understand the chapter that I don't get any bars from that particular reading. But I do it anyway, because I know something's happening on the inside, because when people hear me, I want people to know that I know what I'm talking about. So in your particular space, you probably need to consume more information or be in different environments that force you to learn and grow. Okay?
All right, listen, every single week, every episode, you hear me talking about themorningmeetup.com. It's the community. Let me show you what's happening here. Every single morning, Monday through Friday, there's 400 plus people on a Zoom call, right? We're learning, we're talking, we're growing together, and this is you. There's all these people here. It's all these people in the morning meetup. Hundreds of people reading books, growing. We get together quarterly. It's amazing. And for some reason, you just keep looking at, just go to themorningmeetup.com and get in the circle. And then you'll be like way happier. Just themorningmeetup.com. Let's get back to the episode.
I can tell who you're around if I talk to you long enough. Believe it or not. I can tell who you're around. I can tell what type of music you listen to. I can tell what's coming in based on a conversation. Believe it or not. Those who listen, I
Can I ask a question, Dave, about that?
Yeah, go for it.
So what exactly does that say about a person when it comes to like the hip hop of things and all that? Because I am curious about that in my perception. I'm super hip hop-ish.
Yeah, as you should be. If that's your perception, because there's I don't know, not just the language. It says a lot about you. I'm just saying, so I was at where were we? We were at my Airbnb, and my friend was over, and he said something like, "Man, I saw that John. It was like this and that." And I think Donni was there. She said, "You from Philly?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, you used the word John." I can tell where you've been. There's certain, just regionally, right? There's certain words that you use. Like if you use pop instead of soda, it's like you're from some. I know. I'm not going to the movies. I'm going to the show. It like says something about you. Now, I'm not saying it's positive or negative, but what I'm saying is, we got to get in a certain environment where your conversation is starting to shape based on what you want people to perceive about you. Does that make sense?
Roger that. Yep. Thank you.
So, if you listen to hip hop, that's probably a good thing if you're relating to the hip hopper. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Or you can tell somebody who's not from the culture. Like, you're like, oh, you ain't. I can tell you ain't.
on that perception thing, like when you was talking about, I'm not the type to wear chains, I've had people kind of criticize that at my age, I look like I'm 25, I wear chains, and different stuff. And the sweater set is not for me, and it's just not who I am.
Yeah, no, it's not a negative thing. I'm just saying for me personally, my perception, what I want people to see from me isn't that. There's nothing wrong with it. You feel me? Like I'm not wearing suits every day because I don't want people to perceive that about me. However, I have been buying more khaki shorts. Because yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to. Okay, go ahead.
Kels, let me get through it because I got a lot that I just didn't touch on, and I know y'all probably got something to say about my khaki shorts. But I'm trying to look a little more polished and look a little more my age, me personally. Okay, so anyway, all right, let me get to it. Okay, content is important. Okay, if we're going to build a perception online, we have to develop some content. We have to show people what we want people to think about us. But we first got to decide what we want people to think about us, then give that to them. So I want people to know that I am a full-fledged entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurship. So when I start creating content, that's what I'm going to put out. Because I want people to perceive David is, listen, you think about entrepreneurship, you're going to think about this guy, okay? So the content what we show people online, there are certain jokes that, okay, all right, so I did the interview, right, with Dame, and the very first thing I said to Mark, and I knew he was going to be sick about it, and then we had to have a whole meeting, and I said, yo, we got to go in and edit the podcast because he used some choice language all throughout the whole joint. But that's his perception. Like, yo, I'm a boss. I can talk the way I talk. Like, you feel me? But when I put the content out, it's not going to have all that in there. So we got to go through and edit it. Because I know what I want. I want, and this is what I told him. I was like, yo, you don't have to take out so much of a chunk to where like the whole word is gone, right? But I want people to know that I attempted to take that out. Because that's what I want people to say, oh yeah, Dave edited this whole thing. Not me, the team would actually Donald edited it, but y'all get what I'm saying. So what do we want people to think about us? Now, what we want people to think about us must be supported by a few things. One, targeted messaging. It's one thing to say, I want people to know me for owning this mental health space. But that's going to have to be supported by a targeted message. Everything you put out should say, this is what I want you to think about me. A targeted message. So I think when we start perceiving Jen, right? Remember I don't know if y'all had to be on a few months ago, because she would come on and do the morning announcements. And I'm like, yo, Jen, you need to just start with the PVA playbook. Let's start talking systems. You got to start talking systems. Because everything you do, if you want people to perceive that you are the queen of systems, our messaging has to be very targeted. Now, I didn't have to coach her on targeting because that's all she talks about. But in terms of putting it out even more, the idea has to be supported by the activity. Okay? So targeted messaging. Number 2, consistency. Whatever we want people to perceive about us needs to be supported by consistency. We can't keep switching and jumping around from stuff, from this to that. We've got to stop that, because it's going to kill your perception. And not only kill your perception of what you want them to think about you, it's going to create another perception in their mind that this person is always doing something different. The perception of me 15 years ago was that I was a hustler and I'm always trying to get over. Because I was always doing something. Always doing some type of hustle. I remember my aunt would I had these hats. They were called like pinwheel hats. Pinwheel. They were like the New Era hats. But it was a really, really dope hat, right? And I was getting them from this website. I think it was not lids.com. It was something. I got it from something, right? And I bought the hats. And my boy was like, yo, that hat is dope, bro. Where you get that from? I was like, yeah, my aunt got it from me. I got it from a website. I was like, my aunt got it from, I can get you one. And this is like one of my really close friends. And he's like, yeah, get me one. I was like, yo, it's $30. Now I think I paid like 20. And I was like, yeah, I get my aunt to get one for you, but it's gonna be like $30. So what I did was I added a little bit on top of the price for someone who I consider my friend. I lied to my friend to make $1. Now he might not look at it like that, and it's a negative way, but I always did stuff like that though. And that was my perception. And I was consistent with it. And I was consistently inconsistent because every time you saw me, I was selling something else. I was consistently inconsistent. So that was the perception. I'm always doing something else. Some of you have the perception of always saying, I'm about to, or I'm working on. This is what I'm about to do. I hate that. I hate that word. That I'm about to. I'm working on it. I'm about to launch this. You're always about to, like, the perception of what, like, if you really want to put out a strong perception of execution, tell us what you did after you did it, not before. Tell us what you're doing after you did it, not before. Because you're building a perception. Some people, some people, when they come around, it's not going to be a positive, uplifting conversation. And they're always going to talk about their problems. That's perception because they're consistent in that. So put it in the chat real quick. What do you want people to perceive about you when they think about you? Just put it in the chat real quickly. So we got to do it through targeted messaging, consistency, and I believe content. We've got to continue to put that message out. We got to drive that message. I'm going less towards teaching entrepreneurship and more heavy on podcasting. Because I believe we're in a very unique time right now, and there's a time window. That's why there's not as many Dorito Day videos, and there's not as many of the drawings. Now, I'll get back to them or whatever, but my major focus for the last few weeks have been podcast videos. I want to produce as many podcast clips on my page as possible because I'm trying to shape something in your brain. Okay. And they go hand in hand. Don't take it too granular, okay? Just pull what you can from this message and just run with it, okay? Okay, all right, cool. Clarity in messaging, not confusion. We have to work on the clarity as much as possible. The clarity in messaging. The clarity. All right, cool.
Come join the most amazing live mentorship and accountability group for entrepreneurs every morning. The Morning Meetup. Do you have a business idea you need to get off the ground? Do you currently work a 9-to-5 and are looking for supplemental income? Come and network with like-minded individuals and take your business to the next level. Every morning from 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with David Shands and friends. Try the Morning Meetup today for just $1. Head over to themorningmeetup.com. That's themorningmeetup.com.